Tonight at a crossroads. We have all gathered together tonight to appoint a leader who will lead us into the future. Which direction shall we take? My name is Marcus, Wolfus, Blitzes, Jimus, Laris, Thomas, Brocus, Phyllis, Shepherdess, O'Reilly, and I am the moderator for tonight's debate. The format for the debate will be as follows. I will ask a question of each of the contestants, who will each be given 3 minutes to answer it. Let me first begin by briefly introducing tonight's contestants. To my right stands Dr. Moshe
Kaplan.
Dr. Moshe, as in Hercules, Kaplan. Hey, that's good. Let's do that way. Is a true rags to riches to rags story. Being left for the dead in the slums of the backcountry, he was raised by shepherds, and at the tender age of 10, had all of his teeth knocked out by an unfortunate milking gone wrong. Not being able to afford dental care, his adopted parents had no choice but to sell him to the town tooth fixer in exchange for the needed care. Dr. Kaplan cleaned the blood off the floor every night, removed the teeth embedded in the ceiling tiles, and scraped the rust off the drills. Over the years, the town tooth fixer took a liking to Dr. Kaplan and taught him the high-priced art of causing pain unnecessarily. Dr. Kaplan excelled and soon had lines of people waiting for him to make them squeal. He accumulated much wealth and became a prominent man in Jewish Hellenistic society. Unfortunately, one day, his drill zigged when it should have zagged, and he was returned to the shepherds, broke, disparaged, but with a full set of beautiful dentures. Dr. Kaplan then attended the Jerusalem Gymnasium and graduated with a master's in Epicurean existentialism. And to my left stands Rabbi Nossen. Rabbi Nossen spent his youth riding with a two-wheeled chariot gang. He eventually found himself behind bars, protesting during the civil rights movement, but now spends most of his time in front of bars. He is now the head of the Yeshiva Gedola of MCC Norfolk, where he helps make sure that the clients of the penitentiary are really doing penance. Rabbi Nossen is looking for a venture capitalist who will be willing to help Moshe open the first kosher Greek restaurant. And he loves telling jokes that start a Thracian, a Spartan, and a rabbi walk into the agora. Dr. Kaplan, who are leading the polls by a margin of over 13%, so you will be able to answer first. Dr. Moshe Kaplan. In the news today, there is a lot of tension regarding the religious character of the Jewish people. What is your perspective on God and spirituality?
My perspective on God? God? It's God's. Oh yes, I went there. I made it plural. I'm a great believer in God. I believe in thousands of them. We have whole books filled with them. Stories of their adventures, their lusts, their feuds. They're really fascinating. And in fact, they're widely considered to be classics. I think it was an ingenious move to introduce the Greek pantheon into the Jewish temple. Why be so single-minded when there's so much to choose from? Although I'm a great believer in the gods, their stories and legends are just that, stories and legends. It certainly doesn't impact or conform our behavior. Why would we want to emulate the gods? They're capricious, ambitious, jealous. We have a much happier life if we leave them to their own squabbles on Mount Olympus. But I speak too brashly. We unfortunately need the gods for some things. When they aren't preoccupied with stealing someone's smoking life, we need them to provide us with our needs. We need Ares for success in battle, Aphrodite for fertility and love, and Demeter for successful crops. We make sure to offer sacrifices to the gods to appease them. We want to get their attention, so they'll provide us with the things we need. But that really sums up my perspective on spirituality.
I don't believe in an afterlife. I don't believe in any magical force called holiness. We believe only what we can see, feel, touch, and measure. That's why I endorse Antiochus' decree to abolish the Jewish archaic practice of Kiddush HaChodesh, sanctifying the month. Jews believe that with their heebie-jeebie shamanism, they can bring some kind of holiness to the month. Hello, welcome to the 2nd century. We don't use rituals or sightings to establish a month. We use precision in scientific data. We use precise astronomical calculations.
Thank you, Dr. Kaplan. Reb Nossen, what is your perspective on God and the spiritual dimension?
Moshe Kukis? Mr. Meshuggah! Meshuggah! You know, you can believe in what you can see, and then you can go deeper, and then you can go beyond. Because what we understand is that we don't understand. How can I have the arrogance? I'm just one little dot of consciousness that I carry from one room to another. I'm just here visiting, living in a body as a visitor. Only here for a short time, all of us here visiting. How can we think that we comprehend the one, the only one, who's everywhere at all time? It's totally beyond us. And the greatest gift that he gives us is that he cares about each one of us, including you, Moshe Kukis and Meshuggah. And that God that cares about every living being in the world, that God has made a relationship with the Jewish people.
Erroneous!
Yes, exactly. That must be your middle name, Moshe Kukis Erroneous.
That is not my middle name.
Yamod, Moshe Kukis Erroneous. So, because God's made a relationship with us, we have a special job in the world. And he's given us gifts. Because the way that we know how to be in the world, instead of being born like fish, you know, fish, they never meet their mother, they never meet their father. They don't have families. We were given families. God gives us the gift of learning how to be together, so we'll know how to be with God. Peace.
Thank you, Reb Nossen.
Moshe, how would you describe an ideal, perfect human being? Who was your poster boy? Well, regarding your poster boy, every morning when I gaze in the mirror, I stare right at his face. Look at this six-pack. Look at these pecs. What could be greater than yours true? About your question of the ideal human being, that's really an open question. Our philosophers have spent centuries debating this question. It really depends on your perspective. The school of Stoicism believes that virtue is the pathway to happiness. On the other hand, the school of cynicism believes that one should live in agreement with nature. But you're asking me, and I'll tell you what I believe. The philosopher prophet, the genius who stands head and shoulders above all the rest of them, is the great Epicurus. Epicurus. He taught that pleasure is the greatest good, and the purpose of life is to be perfect, and to perfect the self, so that one can get the most satisfaction out of life. Enjoy life to its fullest. To that end,
we strive to perfect the human body. Bodybuilding and athletics. There's no sight more beautiful than watching the athletes compete in the Olympic stadiums. Their well-toned muscles glistening in the morning sun. Their sculpted bodies revealing their full glory, leaving nothing to the imagination. It chills just thinking of it. That's why I am so proud to have been one of the most outspoken lobbyists for the ban on Jewish circumcision. What a barbaric practice! Circumcision hinders the pleasures of sexuality. Are you listening to me, people? But more importantly, it mars the perfect beauty of the human form. How is it possible to improve nature? Nature epitomizes perfection. There's nothing more perfect than the natural, uncut human form. Man is the center of the universe, and we should celebrate, and cherish all aspects of human nature. Leaving materialism aside, we Greeks are renowned for our skills at perfecting the mind with science and philosophy. I am confident that the brilliant light of our culture will bring light to all of the world. Our manifest destiny is to redeem all of humanity from its barbarism and free it with the brilliant light of reason. And to think that the Jews call themselves a light unto the nation. And I say to those cultures who stubbornly resist appreciating this light, there's no sense in attempting to oppose it. We will bring our democracy and values to you, whether you like it or not. The Spartans have perfected the art of war. We have the most advanced military technology. We will use the strength of our arms to bring our culture to the far corners of the world. And there is much glory to be gained through battle. Heroic epics are written about the heroes of battle. I'm confident that with the strength of our technology and the overwhelming force of our numbers, we can defeat any resistance.
But Nossen, how would you describe an ideal or perfect human being? Who is your poster boy?
Every single person here is God's poster boy. Because every single person, everyone who's given the gift of being in this world, has their own unique tasks to do. And every one of us is a living Torah. You know, there's a 3-line summary of the existence of the Jewish people from a sociological perspective. First of all, we love things of the mind. Secondly, when we see something's wrong with the world, we don't say, oh, it's from nature. Leave it that way. It must be God's will. When we see something wrong with the world, we find out how to fix it. And the third is, we don't just take care of our own needs, we take care of the needs of others. We emulate our model, which is the master of the world, who's taking care of each person. Moshe, you're a handsome, vital young man, and I'm glad you have shimmering muscles. Moshe, we all get older, and our bodies age, and we all change, and we go through so much in our lives. Moshe, you won't remain this young man with strong muscles. You become an old man. God bless you. You should have good strength when you're an old man. But the way that we look at ourselves and the things we go through changes. And we rely on the wisdom that God is giving us, on the Torah that He gives to each person. Because each one of us is a living Torah. And we rely on this wisdom and this insight, this light that's burning inside each of us to guide us so that we take care of not just of ourselves, but we take care of the sick, we take care of the unfortunate, we take care of the lonely, we take care of each other. And we're all in the process of learning how to do that. And the Master of the world has a personalized course for each of us. So you, Moshe, are in a room full of puzzles.
Thank you, Reverend Nossen.
Are you guys buying this really?
Yes. Moshe, humans have been endowed with enormous intellectual capacity. In your opinion, what should these faculties be best used for?
Isn't it obvious what should be used for? To understand the universe, to explain how it works, to understand and uncover everything. The human mind is so powerful. It is the sole criteria to define truth. What human reason can't comprehend must simply not be true. The mind provides such a rich source of intellectual stimulation. The experience of uncovering new scientific truths cannot be described in terms other than pristine, unadulterated bliss. Even the realm of ethics, virtues, and metaphysics provides so much enjoyment in pushing the frontiers of what the human mind can comprehend. Of course, don't ask us to be subjugated by any of the conclusions our ethicists make. But it's great fun to study it nonetheless. I can study geometry without becoming a triangle, can't I? You probably want me to give an opinion about religion, particularly the Jewish religion. I think religion has value. It gives people a purpose to live for. It makes people feel that things have greater significance than they can see. I think the Torah has great literary value. I'm so happy that Talmud commissioned its translation into Greek. Now, it takes its rightful place in the Alexandrian Library, right next to the epics of Homer and the mathematical treatises of Pythagoras.
Thank you, Moshe. Reverend Nossen, human beings have been endowed with enormous intellect and reasoning faculties. What should these faculties be used for, in your opinion?
Oy. You put the Torah on the same level as Homer Simpson. You know, we're so pleased that the Torah got translated into Greek. But we have a fast day because we understand that each of us isn't here alone. That I'm attached to my father and my mother, and they're attached to their parents, and their grandparents, and their great-grandparents, going all the way back. And we all received the Torah on Mount Sinai. And we are all carrying the Torah. Not just the written Torah, but the oral Torah. We are the Torah. And we're carrying it on, and we give it to our children. We give it to their children. We're part of an ongoing process that's happening throughout existence of the living Torah. So we understand that we don't understand. We understand that we're very limited, and yet we're infinite. We're part of something infinite that's happening. We're part of the fixing of the world. And we want the rest of the world to be involved also. You know, we Jews, in our holy temple, we had a wall around the innermost part of the holy temple, and every non-Jew who wanted to could come to the Beis Hamikdash. And every non-Jew who wanted to could bring an offering to be sacrificed in the Beis Hamikdash. But they couldn't go beyond that wall. And when the Greeks came, and when the Greeks came, they broke through the wall because they said, no, there can't be any separations. No, no, we're all the same. Thank God we're not all the same. Thank God that there is a Greek nation with its talents and wisdoms. And thank God that we are not them, that we have our own task in this world, that we are blessed to do.
Thank you. Well, Hercules, in a follow-up on that, some maintain that the Jews are a chosen nation. What is your perspective on this idea?
Chosen nation? You mean like a master race? I think that's a racist idea. There's no qualitative difference between Jews and non-Jews. Humans are humans. Besides, if anyone would be chosen by God, it would be the Greeks. The Greeks are, without a doubt, the eternal race, the ones who will outlive them all. I have no doubt that the Jews are racists. They express this by putting this wall you mentioned in the temple, barring the Gentiles from passing a certain point. What did you call it? The good job, Moshe. So excited. Hail. The Greek soldiers have demonstrated their opposition to this policy by breaching the wall in 13 places. If it was up to me, I would add another 13. Better yet, remove the wall entirely. I strongly believe that the Jews should acculturate and become like all the other nations. There's no need to keep yourself off. There's no reason to be separate. This will be the quickest solution to anti-Semitism. It's obvious that Jews are only disliked because of their strange clothes, their super long sideburns, weird strings hanging from all parts of their bodies, and unusual practices. Once you successfully assimilate, I like to say emulsify, we can all become one and join a united brotherhood of all men. This is why I strongly encourage the occupation's ban on kashrut. Having their own dietary laws only keeps them separate from the others.
Rabbi Nossen, how would you respond to this regarding the Jews being a chosen people?
Yes, we're chosen. We are chosen to be who we are. We are chosen, each one of us, to live our life as a Jew in this world. And we need to keep that separateness. You know, the country in Europe, after Napoleon opened up the ghettos, the country in Europe where the Jewish population became the most assimilated, most rapidly, and had the largest percentage of Jews who stopped having beards and payas, and who...
That's what I'm talking about, right there.
Who stopped having beards and payas, and who dressed as their neighbors did, and spoke the language, and joined in the culture, was that great, magnificent, intellectual, enlightened country, Germany. And that was what we got in that situation. So here we are in America, and we're also very assimilated. Thank God America is not Germany. And thank God, Mitzvah Hashem, terrible things shouldn't happen here. And here we are learning much better how we can be in the world and bring light to the world and live as Jews and be a Kiddush Hashem. It's the job of every Jew, and particularly in our contact that we have in the work, in the stores, in everywhere we go. Since everyone who looks at us knows that's a Jew, it's our work to be a Kiddush Hashem. For them to look at our behavior and say, well, God must be so holy to have people who would be so honest and so caring and so upright. And so yes, we have our particular way and our work that we've been chosen to do.
Well, I would like to thank the participants in tonight's debate, as well as all of you for attending. We look forward to seeing you at the polls, and please be on the alert for any hanging chads. Thank you.